Speaking of Data Republican and Viva having OCD, in case you don't know, I may or may not have OCD. Call it Puro. It's OCD with insight. So I know that I'm crazy. I know when I obsess. I know when I get fixated on a story, and I know that I'm fixated on a story right now. I did a story on Monday or Tuesday, how The Guardian, I won't say defamed me. It's not really a hit piece, but they call me a far right wing influencer on Twitter who's casting doubt on some of the information that's coming out of Minnesota as relates to the assassination of Hortman and her husband, the shooting of Hoffman and his wife by one Vance Luther Boelter, Boelter, because in the wake of that, information was revealed that Vance Boelter's wife is named Jennifer Boelter, or as some media is saying, her legal name is Jenny Boelter, even though some media refers to her as Jennifer Boelter. There also happened to be a Jennifer Boelter, Boelter, who interned for Tim Walz in 2010 from October 2010 to December 2010. 2010 was when Tim Walz was running for re-election for the governor, so his election campaign started at the beginning of the year, but it was, in earnest from August to December. They had their primary, then they had their gubernatorial election. So one might think they might have needed more staff for whatever the reasons. So a Jennifer Boelter did a 2-month internship, was paid $3,566.66 from the Tim Walz campaign. Vance Boelter was appointed to the governor's workforce board, whatever, in 2016, and then reappointed by Tim Walz in 2019 to 2023. So there seemed to be family connection there. Then Tim Walz spokesperson comes out and says, it's a different Jenny Boelter. Shut up, move along. Trust me, bro. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. Guardian puts out an article, says Viva Frei refuses to accept that it's a different Jennifer Boelter who worked for Tim Walz, and it's not the same Jenny Boelter who's married to Vance Boelter, the actual assassin, domestic terrorist. Okay. I reached out to both the journalist who wrote the article, The Guardian, DM, email, tweet, to say, what did you rely on in order to come to the conclusion that the Jennifer Boelter who interned with Tim Walz in 2010 was a different, distinct individual human than the Jenny Boelter who's married to Vance Boelter? Because it seems all they relied on is the statement from Walz spokesperson. Walz's press office told KTTC Tuesday that the Jennifer Boelter connected to Vance Boelter, the suspect, was not an intern for the governor while he was serving in Washington. All right, that's it. Move along. Nothing to see here. According to Grok, and I've double-checked this thoroughly myself, the only evidence is a statement from the Walz campaign. I put out a tweet that said, now I have reached out to both The Guardian and the journalist who wrote the article in which they accused me of wrongly casting doubt on Vance Boelter's wife having been the Jennifer Boelter who interned with Tim Walz in 2010. As far as I can tell, the only evidence that it is indeed a different Jennifer Boelter is a statement from a Walz spokesperson. Above and beyond the unsubstantiated statement from a Walz spokesperson, is there any evidence definitively confirm they are indeed two different Jennifer Boelters? Definitive, concrete evidence, not arguments based on age and internships or unsubstantiated claims from a Walz spokesperson. This is a sincere request. If the evidence exists, I will most certainly amplify that information. But as of now, I'm actually shocked that the only evidence cited by so-called fact checkers to contradict the claim is an unsubstantiated claim from a Tim Walz spokesperson. Now, there was another Jennifer Boelter who was misidentified as being Vance Boelter's wife. It's a doctor somewhere, and I never mentioned it, never even actually knew that disinformation was out there because it's irrelevant. There is another Jennifer Boelter who was misidentified as the Jennifer Boelter, wife of Vance Boelter, a doctor. She couldn't have been the intern because I could pull up some online sleuthing that she was a doctor as of 2006, at least according to some HIPAA website that had her as a practicing MD as of 2006. So I doubt that this Jennifer Boelter could have been the one that interned with Tim Walz for 2 months in 2010. I've been digging, and it's actually quite shocking that there is no online evidence one way or the other to definitively confirm or disprove that these are two separate Jennifer Boelters. Some have suggested that it's indeed suspicious in and of itself, but one cannot come to conclusions in the absence of evidence. It should be relatively easy for the Tim Walz campaign to definitively demonstrate that this is indeed a different Jennifer Boelter. The biggest argument, other than Tim Walz saying so, is that people are saying her lawful name is Jenny Boelter. Okay, sorry. The other argument is that a 31-year-old woman, she's 51 now, she would have been 36 at the time, would not be doing an internship. Intern is how they had her on the papers for the payment. Working for 2 months for Tim Walz during a campaign is very much reasonable and understandable, because I presume they would need more staff either to tend to Governor Walz's official duties or to the campaign. So the fact that she's a 30-some-year-old woman is not an argument that she could not have done an internship. People do internships all the time. Doctors do internships, but I don't think that was the doctor doing an internship for Tim Walz. I just want to know. I just want to know what evidence the Guardian saw. If it's just the Tim Walz statement, that's not good enough to confirm that this is in fact inaccurate information. So public request to the Guardian, to the journalist, to Tim Walz, just show us the evidence and we can put this all to bed. It would be one hell of a coincidence.